Today is an exciting day on the Extreme channel. My name is Mr. X and somebody finally commissioned a statue of me. That's right, this guy right here, he's a little bit more pale. I think they got the portrait spot on, and the body, stunning representation. Welcome to my channel. Hey, thanks for tuning into the channel, guys. If you weren't aware, this channel is all about extreme collectibles, especially the statues. So right here, we are looking at a custom 1/4 scale Kirby gray Hulk. I'm gonna break all that down for you. Custom means it was a private unlicensed commission. They only made 10 of these. That's right, just 10 of this particular variant. You wanna know what 1/4 scale means? Ask Cody Spencer. You can tell I'm name dropping a lot of people, right? Aiden Martinez. Kirby was the artist. One of the most popular Marvel artists was Jack Kirby, who is long gone since now, but he was around when Hulk was originally in its original form, and this was the style he used when you look at the portrait. Now, Gray Hulk, most people who are into comics or Marvel or Hulk understand that originally when the first presses came out, Hulk was actually colored green, which there's some argument whether that was intentional or not. A lot of people think they were trying to actually do green and it came out gray on the press. And then there was some resurgence of the Gray Hulk later in the comics. Now, I purchased him because I needed a Hulk statue. Yes, another one. I think this makes about 20 of them. Now, the custom group I purchased this from, they were offering a number of variants. I think there was 4 or 5 different choices. Now, I went with this one because I liked the way it looked the best. However, I was kind of in a drunken stupor, and I don't regret buying him at all, but I have the sideshow version of this right here. You guys know what that means. Eventually, we're gonna do an Extreme Rumble or an Extrumble and put them two against each other. So make sure you've not only liked this video, but you've subscribed to the channel and hit the bell notification so you can check out that video. And also, while I'm pouring myself out, before we dive into this Extreme review, check this out. As a thank you to you guys, we're giving away these 2 exclusive Mortal Kombat statues from Pop Culture Shock Toys. We've already given away this Sub-Zero. It's being shipped to the winner of the 15,000 sub giveaway. Up for grabs at 17,500 subs is this exclusive Scorpion statue. First thing you need to do is make sure you've liked this video, you subscribe to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification. Second thing is we're going to pick random videos. This is one of those random videos, and insert this segment somewhere. You need to make sure you comment on that video. We are going to pick a random comment from one of said videos, and you will be the winner of this Scorpion statue. All right, so we're going to start the review with the concept of this piece, and being quite honest with you, it's a little boring. We got a gray Hulk on a gray rock. So on the bottom, as I said, they do have this very rocky base. Now, I do like it, but it's not very entertaining. It's pretty boring. You know, recently I got in some other custom Hulks that followed this flow a little bit. They had a little bit of color flare in the bottom. And as you move up, Hulk isn't in what we call a museum pose. He's kind of lurching forward, so he's not completely still. And I love the features on this Hulk. We'll talk more about it in Paint and Sculpt, but it really shows that classic Kirby style, not just on the portrait, but the Hulk himself, and it shows his size. As you can tell, this is a huge statue, and I think a lot of that ties into the concept of it. It is fully sculpted. You see his jeans torn, you see his shirt ripped, hanging, and then you see his very muscly body. He's a little more fit than I remember Kirby Hulk's being, a little more defined muscles. So I think they took a modernized take on that, but I quite like it actually. And we'll talk more about that in comparison with the other video. Then you get to the portrait. And so the Kirby portrait is this very Neanderthalic Hulk, almost like a caveman. And I kind of like that. It really takes away any of the human recognition, and I think they nailed that on. And it's scary. This is where the Hulk is really, really scary. You know, it's funny, I remember when the original Avengers movie came out, which I was floored by the way, I remember they were so scared for the Hulk to come out. I thought that was so good how they really built that up. And I think a representation like this also has that really scary Hulk vibe into it. The size, the portrait. So while the concept honestly is kind of boring, it's Hulk on a rock, it's not bad. I give the concept a 3 out of 5 on this piece. I mean, the sheer presence of Hulk alone makes it almost prohibitive from doing too many other things. If you look at the majority of the Hulk statues I have, there's not a ton going on in the base. I do have one arriving later this month or early in January that the base actually has some flames coming from it, but that's about it. So let's talk about design on this piece. Again, there's not a lot to talk about. I actually didn't film an unboxing and assembly video for 2 reasons. One, the box was gigantic. I couldn't even get it up the stairs, so I had to take it apart downstairs. Second is there's only 2 pieces. It's Hulk and the base. But let's look at some of the packaging.
A gigantic box that actually made it seem heavier than it is. The box seemed incredibly heavy, but the statue is not. There's the top of the art box and then a large picture on the side of the art box of the original version of this we'll look at later. Here is the custom black foam with straps, the first layer, and of course the second layer was the base.
Now let's measure the size of this guy. As you can see, extremely large. The widest point is over 2 feet, believe it or not. 25 inches almost. Kind of hard to tell because the rocks jut out a little bit. The depth is a little over 22 inches. And then the tallest point is right at 25 inches or so. So he is going to take up a ton of room in the display, which I'm okay with. I talked about recently, I reviewed this green custom Hulk, and during that review I talked about 3 other ones. So you'll see him in the video I have upcoming of those 3 additional variant Hulks, if you caught that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and check that video, but you'll see where he's in the display. But there is a spot, and it should be big enough to fit him in there.
That's what she said.
Really, the only thing I want to talk about is it's fully sculpted. So those previous Hulks I did, it was mixed media fabric pants. This is sculpted. It looks fantastic. I'm glad they went with that. Otherwise, not a lot too much to design. I do want to show some of the other variants that you could have bought though.
So along with the one that I have, you could have gotten the one I have in a green skin with the Kirby head. This is your traditional green that you could have also gotten. And of course, you could have gotten this with gray skin as well. And then finally, you have the Rolk General Ross Red Hulk option.
And now that I'm looking at those, even though I have plenty of green Hulks, kind of wishing I went with the green modernized portrait, simply for the fact I already have the Sideshow Gray Kirby, which is a very nice piece as well. I don't know if it's better than this. We'll find out during that video. So paint and sculpt on this piece, it's done really well. I mean, I'm kind of a spoiler, but let's take a look. I'm gonna do a video just to make it easier for you guys.
All right, we'll start down here with the base. Now, originally when I pulled it out, I wasn't digging it, but the more I looked at it, the more I liked it. I think they did a decent job with the sculpt. While there's not a lot of texture on the rocks, which I typically like, I like the formation of them. And then it's interesting what they chose for the colors. It's not truly gray. Under some brighter lights, you'd see more of a brown color. And I think that helps mix up the monotonous of so much gray. All these white spots are not what I was digging originally, but they look nice. I mean, it helps add a variant to a huge base that doesn't have a lot going on. Like, while I said the concept of the base isn't fantastic, the paint and sculpt are done decently. And I really like the paint and sculpt on the Hulk. So first, you're gonna see he has these huge, overemphasized feet and Hulk, kind of classic Hulk. And they did a great job. You see the bone formation in there. Toenails a little bit clean. Wish they would have done a little bit something different with that. I do like the shine on them. And then they used the purple to highlight the veins, which looks nice. But I really like that anatomy. We'll come back to the pants here. But here, like I said, kind of a more modernized take. And I believe their other non-Kirby Hulks had a very similar body as well, if not the exact same body. But well done on the anatomy. I like the arch. You typically have that humped arch in the Kirby model here, which also helps save on space. These giant hands to kind of give you a perspective. And then again, the nails look okay. They look good, actually. I shouldn't use the word okay. Pants are done really well. I like the texture and the rips on them. Some shading in there, and then where it's torn, they added that white paint. Shirt looks okay. They should have done the shirt more similar to the pants, I think. It doesn't look as real, where the pants actually look like they could be mixed media. And I even like that it's kind of scarred and scorched right here, just not torn at the bottoms. But some cool detail, like look at the pockets back here. They could have done a little bit better with the sculpt right there where that pocket is, but look at the stitching. And the portrait, hair is fine. The strands could have had a little bit more differentiation. You guys hear me say that a lot. Portrait is nice as well. So you got a lot of stuff going on in here. First of all, just kind of that archaic caveman we talked about. I think they could have used kind of a moist effect inside the mouth. Almost something on the teeth as well to make it look more like maybe some acrylic teeth. I think the mouth is a little bit of a miss, but the rest of the portrait is awesome. I like how the where your eyebrows would traditionally be, or just coming over those eyes. Kind of some bloodshot red eyes look fantastic, make them look more scary. You even see some veins in the temple. Yeah, very pleased with both the paint and sculpt on this piece. Few areas of improvement, but...
So let's start with the paint. It's done really well. I'm really impressed with the paint. I think the shadowing is perfect on Hulk. Some of these specs on here, it looks fine, but I'm not a huge fan of. I think the paint's a 4 out of 5. It's really well done, very impressive, very clean. Now with the sculpt, base is good. You guys know I'm a decent critic of these rock type bases. I think they did a nice job. I like the anatomy, the veins. You can see the bones, the muscle like we talked about, that looks good. So a lot of it comes down to the portrait. Honestly, I think the portrait's good, but I think the body and anatomy is much better. I think overall it's a 4 out of 5 on this piece too. A lot of that is simply because of the size, which doesn't tie into the sculpt. But this is my rating system and I can do whatever the hell I want. Now we're gonna jump into value. So they made 10 of these variants. Retail was $1,100. Shipping, I think economy shipping was like $400. So you're $1,500 all in for a 1/4 scale, huge, rare piece. Definitely can get my money back. I'm not worried about that. You know, Sideshow is a good competitor to this, but a lot of people don't like the size of that, which is something we'll talk about. It's fully sculpted. It's a great representation of, to me, like the original Hulk, so I like that a lot. I think I gotta consider the fact if I'm gonna ship this to somebody, shipping's gonna be a minimum of $200. That's if they live within the same country as me. So really I have to sell it for like $1,700. So I think the value is a 3 out of 5. And the reason for that is there's so much competition for Hulk, both licensed and custom. So does this have the X factor? Is this a 5 out of 5 statue? It's a really impressive Hulk. It's not a 5 out of 5 statue. It's not my favorite Hulk statue that I own. However, I do like it a lot. Zero regrets of buying it. I think it's a 4 out of 5. It's mighty impressive. They did a nice job on everything. The paint, the sculpt. It's actually kind of hard finding any flaws with this piece. I think the only flaw is you have a lot of Hulk competition, so there's not a lot of new stuff that they did. But it's overall a very solid piece. So again, if you haven't hit that like button, hit the Mr. X logo if you haven't subscribed with that bell notification. We drop daily content, and until tomorrow, check out some of these other custom statues. Take care.